Have you ever opened your fridge, stared at all the containers, the half-used sauces, the forgotten leftovers, and thought to yourself, what on earth am I going to eat today? Sometimes the hardest part of eating well isn't cooking, it's the decision-making. And at this stage of life, you might notice that food doesn't feel as exciting as it once did, or maybe it feels overwhelming to keep up with what's healthy, what's not, what's trending, and what's actually good for you. Here's the truth. Eating doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler it is, the better it often works for your body and your mind. That's what minimalist eating is all about, stripping away the unnecessary, focusing on what matters, and finding peace of mind in knowing that your meals are nourishing, easy and supportive of a long, healthy life. Think of it this way. When you were younger, meals were often about abundance buffets, holiday spreads, dinners with lots of variety. But now your body actually thrives on balance and simplicity. Too many ingredients, too much salt, or heavy portions can leave you sluggish, bloated, and low on energy. Meanwhile, a simple bowl of vegetables with a little protein and healthy fat can give you exactly what you need to feel light, energized, and satisfied. That's the shift we're exploring here, less about indulgence, more about nourishment. So in this video, we're going to look at how to embrace minimalist eating and why it's so powerful for health and longevity, especially after 60. We'll talk about how simple meals can help you avoid disease, support digestion, and even save you money and time in the kitchen. You'll walk away with practical ideas, not just theory, that you can start using today. Let's begin with something simple but often overlooked. Portion size. You've probably heard the old saying, "Your eyes are bigger than your stomach." As we get older, that becomes even truer. Our bodies naturally need fewer calories, but our habits from earlier years don't always adjust. Minimalist eating is about learning to listen to your body again, about giving it just what it needs. No more, no less. A plate doesn't have to be overflowing to be satisfying. In fact, when you serve yourself smaller portions of whole, nutrient-dense foods, you'll find that your digestion improves. Your energy stays steady and you don't get that heavy, sluggish feeling after meals. For example, instead of a big plate of fried rice or pasta, imagine a smaller bowl with half the amount of grains, a generous serving of vegetables, and a little piece of fish or chicken. It may not look like a feast, but it gives your body the perfect balance of carbohydrates, fiber, and protein to fuel you without weighing you down. This small shift can make a huge difference in how you feel day to day. Now let's move to another important point: simplifying your ingredients. Walk through any supermarket, and you'll see hundreds of products with long ingredient lists, things you can't even pronounce. The truth is, your body doesn't need all of that. It doesn't need artificial colors, preservatives, or extra sugar hidden in sauces and packaged meals. What it thrives on are simple whole ingredients: fresh vegetables, fruits, legumes, grains, nuts, and clean proteins. Think about it like this. An apple is a minimalist food. It has one ingredient: apple. A bag of chips? 20 ingredients, most of which don't belong in your body. Minimalist eating encourages you to choose foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. Not only does this reduce the stress of meal prep, but it also protects your health in the long run. Processed foods are linked to inflammation, heart disease, and memory problems. Whole foods, on the other hand, provide antioxidants, fiber, and vitamins that help protect your cells and keep your brain sharp. And don't think this means your meals have to be boring. A bowl of roasted sweet potatoes with a sprinkle of olive oil and herbs is just as flavorful as any packaged meal, but your body will thank you for it. You don't need 20 spices or a complicated recipe book to eat well. Minimalist cooking is about bringing out the natural flavor of each ingredient, not covering it up. Now let's talk about one more shift that makes a world of difference: slowing down. In our busy culture, even after retirement, it's easy to eat quickly in front of the TV or distracted by your phone. But when you eat like that, your brain doesn't have time to register fullness and your digestion suffers. Minimalist eating is not just about what's on the plate, it's about how you experience the meal. Imagine sitting down with a small bowl of vegetable soup. Instead of rushing, you take your time. You notice the warmth of the broth, the sweetness of the carrots, the softness of the beans. You chew slowly, you breathe between bites, and you actually enjoy the experience. What happens? Your body relaxes, your stomach digests more easily, and you often feel full with less food. That's the power of mindfulness in Minimalist. Eating it transforms a simple meal into something nourishing for both the body and the spirit. I've heard so many people over 60 tell me that they struggle with indigestion, bloating, or even restless sleep at night, and often it comes back to how they eat rather than what they eat. Smaller portions, whole foods, and slower meals can eliminate a lot of those issues without needing complicated diets or expensive supplements. Sometimes the best health advice is the simplest. So minimalist eating isn't about restriction or denying yourself the joy of food. It's about freedom, the freedom of not being weighed down by too many choices, the freedom of knowing your meals are good for you, and the freedom of enjoying life with more energy and less stress. It's a way of eating that honors your body, respects your time, and helps you live longer and healthier. Now that we've opened the door to the idea of minimalist eating and explored portion sizes, simple ingredients, and slowing down at the table, let's keep going deeper into how this lifestyle can reshape not just your meals, but your whole relationship with food. When you begin to strip away the unnecessary and focus on the essentials, you'll notice that food becomes simpler, but it also becomes more meaningful. It's no longer about stuffing the plate or chasing the next trendy recipe. It's about choosing a handful of foods that you enjoy, that make you feel good, and that you can return to again and again without boredom or guilt. One of the most powerful shifts in minimalist eating is learning to build meals around what I call your core foods. These are the foods that form the backbone of your diet, the ones you know your body digests well and gives you steady energy. For many people, it could be things like oatmeal in the morning, lentils or beans a few times a week, or leafy greens and seasonal vegetables. By sticking to these core foods most of the time, you reduce decision fatigue and make eating almost effortless. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every day, you simply rotate your favorites in different ways. Take breakfast as an example. Instead of having a dozen options, you might settle on 2 or 3 minimalist choices. Maybe it's warm oatmeal with berries, or plain yogurt with nuts, or even a simple smoothie made from banana, spinach, and almond milk. Notice how each of these options only requires a few ingredients, but they give your body fiber, protein, and vitamins that keep you satisfied until lunch. That's the beauty of minimalist eating. Fewer moving parts, but greater consistency in nourishing your body. Another area where simplicity shines is in how you prepare your meals. You don't need elaborate cooking techniques to eat well. In fact, some of the healthiest meals are the easiest to make. Steaming vegetables, roasting a tray of root crops with olive oil, or grilling a piece of fish takes less time than waiting for takeout, and you know exactly what's in your food. Think about how freeing that is. No hidden salt, no mystery oils, no added sugars. Just clean, straightforward cooking that brings out natural flavors. And if you worry about getting bored, remember this variety doesn't have to come from complexity. It can come from simplicity done well. A roasted sweet potato tastes different depending on whether you sprinkle cinnamon, rosemary, or just a touch of sea salt. A bowl of brown rice feels brand new when paired with sautéed greens one day and lentil curry the next. You don't need endless recipes, just a few reliable techniques and a willingness to mix and match. Something else that matters, especially after 60, is hydration. It may not seem like part of eating, but how and what you drink deeply affects your health. Many seniors live in a state of mild dehydration without realizing it, mistaking thirst for hunger or simply not drinking enough water throughout the day. Minimalist eating encourages you to simplify what's in your glass as well. You don't need fancy sodas, juices, or flavored drinks. Water, herbal teas, and maybe a splash of lemon are more than enough. They hydrate your body, aid digestion, and support clear thinking. Now let's talk about one of the trickiest parts of eating after 60, snacking. Many people fall into the trap of processed snacks, crackers, cookies, or packaged bars because they're quick and easy. But minimalist eating invites you to rethink snacking altogether. Instead of reaching for something out of a box, what if your go-to snacks were just as simple as your meals? A handful of almonds, a piece of fruit, a slice of cheese with cucumber sticks. Each one is quick, requires little preparation, and doesn't flood your body with sugar or empty calories. When you start choosing snacks like this, you notice something powerful. You're no longer riding the roller coaster of blood sugar spikes and crashes. Your energy stays steady, your mood stabilizes, and you don't find yourself searching the cupboards at night for something to satisfy a craving. Minimalist snacking isn't about denying yourself. It's about fueling yourself in a way that feels balanced and sustainable. Another cornerstone of minimalist eating is embracing seasonal and local foods. Think about it. Our grandparents didn't have strawberries in December or watermelon in January, yet they lived healthy, active lives by eating what was naturally available around them. Seasonal foods are fresher, often cheaper, and packed with more nutrients because they haven't traveled thousands of miles to get to your plate. When you eat this way, not only are you nourishing your body, but you're also simplifying choices. Instead of feeling overwhelmed in the supermarket, you can let the seasons guide you. What's fresh today? What's growing locally? That's what you bring home, and that's what you enjoy. And there's an added benefit. Eating seasonally creates variety over time without you even thinking about it. In the summer, you enjoy fresh tomatoes and cucumbers. In the fall, you savor pumpkins and squash. Winter brings hearty root vegetables, and spring bursts with leafy greens. Minimalist eating isn't about eating the same thing. Every day forever, it's about reducing the stress of daily choices while still allowing your diet to evolve. Naturally with the seasons, let's not forget another key aspect: food and social life. After 60, meals are not just about nourishment, they're also about connection. Maybe you share lunch with a spouse, dinner with friends, or even tea with neighbors. Minimalist eating fits beautifully into this because it strips away the stress of hosting or impressing with complicated dishes. Instead, it encourages you to share simple meals that bring people together. A pot of vegetable soup with fresh bread, a salad with seasonal greens, or a roasted chicken with a tray of vegetables. These are meals that comfort, connect, and nourish without leaving you exhausted in the kitchen. I know it's easy to feel pressure to cook something elaborate, especially when guests are coming over, but simplicity is often what people appreciate most. A homemade meal, no matter how modest, carries a sense of care that no fancy restaurant dish can match. Minimalist eating reminds us that food is ultimately about connection, not complexity. So when you think about minimalist eating, don't think of it as reducing or restricting. Think of it as returning to a way of eating that's natural, easy, and aligned with what your body truly needs. With core foods you love, simple preparation methods, mindful snacking, seasonal variety, and meals that foster connection, you can transform not just what you eat, but how you feel every single day. When you begin practicing minimalist eating, you'll notice something beautiful happening. It doesn't just change your meals, it changes your relationship with food. The stress of "what should I cook?" starts to fade. The guilt of "I ate too much" begins to disappear. What takes its place is a gentle rhythm, a sense of ease that makes eating feel natural again. And that's something many of us crave after 60 ease, peace of mind, and the freedom to focus on living rather than worrying about what's on the plate. One of the most important shifts in this way of eating is learning to honor your hunger and your fullness. We grew up in a time when you were told to finish everything on your plate. That habit may have made sense in the past, but now, forcing yourself to eat beyond fullness doesn't serve your body. Minimalist eating encourages you to listen. If you're hungry, eat. If you're satisfied, stop. It sounds simple, but it can be surprisingly powerful. Your body has wisdom, and when you learn to follow it, you'll often find your weight stabilizes naturally, your digestion improves, and your energy feels more even throughout the day. And this brings us to another part of the minimalist mindset: gratitude. When your meals are simpler, it becomes easier to appreciate them. A bowl of warm soup feels more comforting when you're not comparing it to a dozen other choices. A handful of ripe berries feels more special when you pause and actually taste their sweetness. Gratitude turns even the simplest meal into something rich and nourishing for the spirit. And gratitude itself has been linked to better health, lower stress, and even longer life. It's amazing how something so small can ripple out in such powerful ways. Another benefit of minimalist eating that often gets overlooked is how much it supports independence. After 60, many people start to worry about losing energy, mobility, or the ability to care for themselves. Complicated cooking and endless shopping lists can feel overwhelming. But minimalist eating shows you that you don't need elaborate meals to stay strong and healthy. With a few core ingredients, some simple cooking methods, and the right mindset, you can remain independent in your kitchen for years to come. That independence isn't just about food, it's about dignity, confidence, and the ability to keep living life on your own terms. there's also the financial freedom it creates. Processed foods, takeout meals, and trendy health products can be expensive. But simple meals built from whole foods, beans, rice, seasonal vegetables, oats, eggs are some of the most affordable and nourishing options available. By eating simply, you're not just supporting your body, you're also protecting your wallet. That's money you can put toward experiences, hobbies, or even little joys that bring meaning to your days. And perhaps one of the most heartwarming parts of minimalist eating is that it can inspire those around you. If you share meals with children, grandchildren, or friends, your example becomes a quiet form of teaching. They see that health doesn't require fancy diets or expensive supplements, just a return to simplicity. They may notice your energy, your calmness, your vitality, and they'll want to know your secret. And your secret will be this: food doesn't have to be complicated to be powerful. Of course, there will always be special occasions when meals are larger, richer, or more indulgent. That's part of life, too. Minimalist eating isn't about perfection or never enjoying a slice of cake at a birthday party. It's about what you do most of the time, day in and day out. And when your daily rhythm is grounded in simplicity, those occasional indulgences become even more enjoyable because they don't come with guilt or discomfort. They're simply part of a balanced, joyful way of living. So let's step back and think about what minimalist eating really gives us. It gives us meals that are nourishing instead of overwhelming. It gives us the freedom to spend less time in the kitchen and more time doing the things we love. It gives us health that supports longevity, independence, and peace of mind. And most importantly, it reminds us that food is meant to support life, not complicate it. I want you to imagine yourself sitting down tomorrow with a simple plate, some roasted vegetables, a small serving of brown rice, and a piece of grilled salmon. Nothing fancy, nothing stressful, just a plate of food that's colorful, balanced, and easy to digest. You take your time. You enjoy each bite. You feel full but not heavy. That's the essence of minimalist eating. It's not about less for the sake of less. It's about finding the just right amount that makes you feel alive and well. And remember, it's never too late to begin. Whether you've been eating complicated meals for decades or struggling with food decisions, you can start today with one small step. Maybe it's swapping out a packaged snack for a piece of fruit. Maybe it's cooking a simple soup instead of ordering takeout. Maybe it's pouring yourself a glass of water when you're thirsty instead of reaching for soda. Each small choice builds on the next, and before long, you'll find yourself living with greater ease, greater health, and greater joy. If this message resonates with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what simple meals you enjoy most, or what changes you're thinking about making in your own kitchen. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, because we'll keep exploring simple, practical ways to make life healthier and happier at every stage. Most of all, remember this: food is not meant to be a burden. It is meant to sustain you, energize you, and bring you joy. By keeping it simple, you open the door to more vitality, more peace, and more years of living the way you want to live. Here's to minimalist eating. And here's to your health, happiness, and longevity, because you deserve nothing less. The beautiful thing about minimalist eating is that it often starts with food, but ends up reaching far beyond it. Once you begin simplifying what you eat, you may notice other parts of your life shifting too. Suddenly, your kitchen feels less cluttered because you no longer buy so many products or gadgets you don't use. Your grocery trips feel lighter and faster because you're focused on fresh core foods rather than endless aisles of packaged items. Even your mind feels calmer because you've removed the constant chatter of "what's for dinner" from your day. It's incredible how something as ordinary as eating can ripple outward into greater peace and clarity in everyday life. And there's another layer here that many people don't talk about: joy. Minimalist eating isn't just about eating less or cooking simpler. It's about creating room for joy. When you're no longer distracted by complicated meal plans or weighed down by guilt from overeating, you're free to actually enjoy food again. The smell of garlic sizzling in olive oil, the sweetness of a ripe peach in summer, the warmth of a cup of herbal tea in the evening, these little moments become more vivid because you're fully present with them. And in many ways, that presence is just as nourishing as the nutrients themselves. One of the fears people sometimes have when they first hear about minimalist eating is, will I be missing out? They imagine a life of bland meals or repetitive menus. But in truth, you gain far more than you lose. You gain time not spent worrying, shopping, or preparing endless dishes. You gain health because simple meals are easier for your body to process and are rich in the nutrients you actually need. And you gain freedom, the freedom to focus on what really matters to you, whether that's family, hobbies, or just enjoying a quiet afternoon without stress. Let's not forget how food connects us to memory and culture. You might have meals that remind you of your childhood, or recipes passed down through family. Minimalist eating doesn't mean abandoning those traditions. It means honoring them in a way that works for your health today. Maybe you don't make the rich holiday casserole every week, but once in a while, with smaller portions, it becomes something special rather than a burden. You can still enjoy those connections, but in a way that feels balanced. And sometimes, you might even find new traditions, a simple Saturday soup, a weekly fresh market visit, or an evening tea ritual that feels just as meaningful. Another gift of minimalist eating is how it supports your body's natural rhythm. After 60, metabolism slows down, digestion becomes more sensitive, and energy can dip. But simple meals, light, whole, and balanced, help keep everything running smoothly. You may notice fewer stomach aches, better sleep, and even improved mobility because your body isn't weighed down. It's like giving your system a little breathing room. And when your body feels supported, your spirit feels lighter too. There's also a quiet strength in knowing that you don't need to chase every new diet or product. The world is full of noise about superfoods, powders, and miracle supplements. But minimalist eating helps you stand steady, knowing that true nourishment has always been found in simple, whole foods. A bowl of beans, a piece of fish, a handful of greens. These humble meals are powerful enough to carry you through decades of healthy living. That confidence is worth more than any trend. And as you continue this journey, you may start to notice something even more profound: gratitude for your body itself. When you eat simply and feel good, you realize that your body, no matter its age, still works hard for you every day. Every breath, every step, every beat of your heart is supported by the fuel you choose to give it. Minimalist eating becomes a way of saying thank you to your body, a daily act of care that keeps you strong and resilient. So as we close, I want you to take a moment to imagine your life a few months from now if you lean into this way of eating. Picture yourself walking into the kitchen without stress, opening the fridge to see fresh vegetables, a few simple staples, and knowing exactly what you'll make. Picture yourself enjoying meals that leave you satisfied, not heavy. Picture yourself with more energy to take a walk, to play with grandchildren, to read that book you've been meaning to start. That is what minimalist eating can give you, not just more years to your life, but more life to your years. And I'd love for you to reflect on one small change you can make today. Maybe it's clearing out the pantry of things you don't really need. Maybe it's committing to drinking more water. Maybe it's choosing one simple, nourishing meal to repeat a few times a week so you don't have to think so hard about food. Start small, start gentle, but start. Because even the tiniest step sets you on the path to greater health and happiness. If you found inspiration here, please let me know in the comments. Share the simple meals you love most or the changes you've already made to feel better in your body. And don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep growing together in this journey towards simplicity, health, and joy. Above all, remember this: food is not about complexity. It's about care. By embracing minimalist eating, you're giving yourself the gift of more freedom, more energy, and more peace. And that's a gift that only grows more valuable with age. Here's to a life of simplicity, vitality, and deep satisfaction, because every meal, no matter how small, is a chance to live well.